The dirt I'm going to be using, if you've been doing any research on your own online, it's pretty much what everyone's using for dirted tanks now, is Miracle-Gro Organic Choice Potting Mix. It's kind of an orangish bag. Should cost you $7 or $8 at the store. This one's empty, but I've used it on a bunch of other tanks. You can do, depending on the size of your tanks, a whole bunch with one bag. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than fluorite or any of that crap. Anyway, so a bunch of dirt dumped into the tank, and then I just use a plastic divider from a breeding box. You can use whatever you want, and just chop up some of the larger pieces. A lot of people at this point in time choose to remove the larger chunks of wood or stick that you might find. Personally, I don't really care. I just chop it all up really good. So you don't need to see all of this, you get the idea. I usually use about, I've experimented with different depths and thicknesses, but I like an inch, inch and a half of dirt underneath, an inch, inch and a half of rock. Pretty much the standard, once again, if you've done any reading. I'll just keep chopping. Alright, so now my dirt's pretty much chopped up. It's fairly level, about maybe an inch thick. Like I said, I don't bother taking out a lot of the sticks and stuff. Personally, I don't really care if you've got a smaller aquarium, or if you're more picky about that stuff, I guess you could. Anyway, the next step, and I usually use a spray bottle for this, is to moisten the soil, but just to speed things up, I'm just going to use a measuring cup. And slowly pour it everywhere. Now, if you're a smoker, if you're going to want to repeat this process, go for a smoke, do it again, go for a smoke, do it again, go for a smoke. If you're a drinker, maybe go for a beer. If you're none of the above, maybe do something else, I don't know. Whoops. But you're going to want to repeat this until the dirt is thoroughly saturated, hence the waiting time between to let all the water soak in everywhere. It just helps everything stay down below the cap once you fill it up. Zigzag patterns, whatever, just get it everywhere. So I'll keep doing this. So, once your dirt's added and thoroughly soaked and saturated, almost to the point of becoming a soupy mud, but more on the still on the dirt side, you'd add about an inch of gravel. So I can dig down here to where the dirt is. So that's going to end up being about an inch, inch and a half. Now I didn't rinse this gravel, probably should. And yeah, with the snails and the water flow and whatnot, I've noticed that there's not really much point in trying to, unless you have a really, really thick slope, there's not really much point in trying to have, like, hills and whatnot, because it just tends to level itself out anyways. You can try to slope it a little bit up at the back, but after time, it'll just end up settling and sinking and being flat unless you use, I guess, plastic placeholder cards or something like that until the plant roots hold everything back. Anyway, so just smooth everything out nicely. Another thing too, if you want a cleaner look, some people like a layered look, some people like a cleaner look. At the front, what you can do, before you add your stone is you can kind of scoop the dirt back from the front a little bit, and that way the stone will go all the way down and you won't see any of the under layer of dirt. Or if you like the layered look, you can just not bother and you'll be able to see the dirt and the stone. It's personal preference, doesn't make a difference. That's that part. The next step, and this is probably the most important step of the entire process, is filling the tank up with water. And if you rush this part, you're just going to have a huge, disgusting mess. What I do is I use a small airline tube, and I have it on the glass so it doesn't splash around at all. And I just get a siphon going. And it takes a while to fill up the tank, but at the end it's worth it because your cap stays in place and the dirt stays where it's supposed to and nothing gets stirred up. So patience pays off at this point. Once again, go for a beer, go for a smoke, whatever. Alright, so the tank is now full. Usually at this point I plant a whole bunch of plants, but unfortunately I don't have any plants to plant at the moment. And I actually haven't gotten the lights in that I want yet, so I'll just be running it in the dark for the next few days to let the bacteria reproduce and make it a happy home for fish. I did go ahead and install get the Eheim going in the back, and that's an extra AquaClear I had running on another tank. It's got a whole bunch of cycled media in there. I just didn't feel like taking the knit apart and putting all the stuff inside the Eheim, so it'll just run there and help to see the tank. And in the next few days I'll get my proper lights and some plants and show you what it should look like when you start a dirted tank, or how I like it to look anyway.